That's when nurses sound the alarm, what some say is happening in the maternity ward. Details of the days before a boy's death. What staff at a Saskatoon group home say happened in his final hours. And a jump at the pumps. What's fueling a rise in gas prices.
This is CTV News with Chantel Saunders.
Good evening. An inquest into the death of a child living at a provincial group home resumed today, with staff members recounting the boy's final days. Keenan Sorokon on what they said happened before he was rushed to hospital, where he died.
The jury heard about unclear policies, a complicated hierarchy of decision-making, and communication breakdowns at Eagles Nest Youth Ranch in the days leading up to Brandon Schaefer-Kovacs being sent to hospital. Multiple staff members believed it was other staff who had the responsibility to take Schaefer-Kovacs to the hospital. Staff mentioned Schaefer-Kovacs, who had a reputation for exaggerating symptoms, asked to go to the hospital but testified they weren't asked directly and only saw a report detailing his request 8 days before he died. One staff member was told by a colleague with more experience the boy was trying to get out of going to school. Schaefer-Kovacs would die in November 2022 after 3 days in hospital due to complications from influenza A and streptococcal pneumonia. He had a history of pneumonia, asthma, and diet problems, but it's unclear which staff knew about his medical history. The jury learned a thermometer wasn't working properly, and ultimately no one checked his temperature over 4 days. The caseworker, who was a student at the time, repeatedly said she couldn't recall specific details. The house manager, who was only in his position for 2 weeks at the time, said the house was short-staffed because of illness, having to call in workers from another home. The jury heard the boy's mom received a text message that Schaefer-Kovacs was in the PICU and he was warm and relaxed now. But the mom wasn't aware that stood for Pediatric Intensive Care Unit and that her son was intubated and struggling to breathe. The inquest resumes Wednesday morning with final testimony from high-level staff within the Ministry of Social Services. Keenan Sorokon, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Gas prices have taken a jump over the last few days. As Hallie Mandrick reports, a supply chain issue is fueling frustration and more pain at the pumps.
Saskatchewan motorists are feeling the effect of a recent jump in gas prices. Over the last few days, prices have jumped an additional 15 cents a litre. Gas Buddy lists the average price in Saskatoon at $1.44 and $1.42 per litre in Regina, but some stations in both cities are charging up to $1.46. It's due in part to a shutdown of one of the largest refineries in the United States, just outside of Indiana.
It churns out or produces fuel from about 440,000 barrels a day. That makes it the number one by quite a margin. A lot of that oil does come from Canada, by the way, but its shutdown meant that, of course, there would be a crimp in supply, and markets responded very dramatically by increasing the spot price about 19 to 24 cents a gallon.
The increased prices have certainly been noticed by those filling up in Saskatoon, with many sharing that they're holding off on filling up their tanks.
I'll buy my gas here, and then I'll go to Costco later on in the week, on Monday, and fill up.
Everything's jumping up in price and getting really expensive, but yeah, it's not getting any easier to afford than groceries and everything else too. But yeah, it sucks to see everything keep going up. But
you check the price. When it is high, maybe you can say, like let me put like $40, you know. It depends, you know. So because sometimes you can't avoid, you know.
And if you can wait, you might save a few dollars. McTagg says gas prices are expected to slowly decrease within the week and return to the previous prices soon.
I don't see prices moving up. I think there's a greater likelihood that prices are going to remain stable and calm, and they will go down. And one thing everyone should be keeping in mind is on September 15th, we switched from summer blends of gasoline to winter blends of gasoline. So that should drop prices net 5 to 6 cents a litre.
Hallie Mandrick, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Well, Jeff, the long weekend is coming up, and the heat looks like it's going to stick around.
The heat is definitely going to stick around. Not that I'm not sure I want to hear about winter blends of gasoline, but there you have it. Yeah, we've got ourselves some really warm temperatures, Chantel, that is really impacting Western Canada. Not the case for the east, but certainly Western Canada, big high-pressure ridge in place. And so we're not seeing a lot in the way of change in terms of the forecast. It's going to be consistently hotter than seasonal. We do see some pop-up showers. That's not a surprise with the heat that we have that sometimes generates some thunderstorm activity. So we'll keep our eye on that, and we'll talk about the forecast later on.
Now to concerns being raised in Saskatchewan maternity wards. The Saskatchewan Union of Nurses is sharing anonymous letters from its members on social media which report unsafe conditions in Saskatoon and Regina maternity wards. The union is calling for staffing issues to be addressed. CTV's Stacey Hine with those details.
Staffing shortages, a lack of beds, and inadequate care in the maternity ward at the Jim Pattison Children's Hospital. All concerns being raised by the Saskatchewan Union of Nurses.
They don't have enough staff to keep up with the number of patients that are coming in, these new moms that are coming in, and the complexity.
Bryce Boynton says staff are seeing an increase in the number of expectant mothers presenting with comorbidities, such as hypertension, diabetes, and syphilis, making their care more complex. He says Regina General Hospital's maternity ward is facing similar challenges, along with issues around outdated equipment. The union recently sharing anonymous letters from its members on social media. One nurse wrote, quote, "Our electronic fetal monitors are becoming so outdated that monitors completely stop working while being used on a patient. Equipment malfunctions. We are running from room to room to find working equipment." Another nurse said patients are being denied basic care, waiting in waiting rooms for hours, delivering in triage beds, and being denied epidurals because of capacity pressures. And a Saskatoon nurse said nurses left solo with 8 prenatal patients when usually there are 2 nurses for that same load. Boynton says addressing staffing issues needs to be a priority.
Let's reassess our staffing availability. Let's focus on the recruitment and retention, but primarily that retention. And let's talk about nurse-patient ratios.
The Saskatchewan Health Authority acknowledges the situation and says an increase in deliveries, vacation time among staff, and illnesses contributed to the shortages in July, and that birth and staffing levels returned to normal in August. It did not address claims of equipment issues at Regina General Hospital and says Jim Pattison is outfitted with the necessary equipment. It adds patient safety remains a priority, something Sun says it's also pushing for. Stacey Hine, CTV News, Saskatoon.
An 84-year-old Prince Albert woman has died following a crash near Duck Lake. It happened at Highways 11 and 212 on Friday afternoon. RCMP say 2 vehicles collided. The driver of one of the vehicles was taken to hospital where she died. No other injuries were reported. There was no word on what contributed to the crash. Saskatoon Transit says better buses, service, and route improvements are coming this fall. The city says service improvements will be rolling out this fall to improve reliability and address overcrowded buses beginning in September. Riders will see changes to routes serving Evergreen, Willow Grove, Arbor Creek, and 115th Street, as well as the Stonebridge to Sask route. The city says articulating buses aligning with high school bell times will increase capacity by 50%. Also, a new route has been created for Holy Cross and Walter Murray students with expanded service to Rosewood. The city says 10 new buses are coming in the next few weeks, with 10 more arriving soon after.
Big thing was the service out in the north end, the northeast. That was service we had that we weren't able to bring back until we got our bus fleet in a better place. So we have some new buses coming. We're anxiously awaiting those to come here in September and get those ready to go on the road. And that's what's helping fuel that expansion. In the other areas, we're always looking at where passenger loads are and where need is. So we're trying to always match our service to where the demand is.
Mullenbeck says some short-term disruptions could be experienced as the buses come online. Prince Albert City Council has given the green light for a new complex needs shelter to go ahead. It has approved the zoning to allow the facility to be opened at the old liquor store on 9th Street East downtown. Clients will be brought in by police and released into social supports or specified care. If someone declines services, security will ensure they leave the property safely or be transported to a different location. The province hopes to have the building ready by March 31st of next year. 2 complex needs shelters are already operational in Saskatoon and Regina. Advocates are voicing concern over conditions at one Regina motel being used to house clients who rely on social services. As Angela Stewart explains, the group wants to see the motel shut down over health concerns.
She's been homeless for weeks with hardly any place to go. Much like many clients who rely on social services, Sonia Scales says she was put into a room at the Coachman Inn, but it didn't come without surprises.
The conditions there were deplorable. I walked in and before we even walked in, there was people asking us to buy crystal meth. We opened the door and the smell was so sickening.
Scales claims she and her daughter noticed cockroaches and bed bugs all throughout the room.
As soon as I entered the room, the cockroaches are right visible and they're climbing on the furniture. The mattress is so black, like full of cockroach and bed bug feces.
Ivy Kennedy, a counselor with the George Gordon First Nation and an advocate for social services clients, says it's only been in the last decade issues of alleged bugs and drugs at the motel have popped up.
We in 1985 or 82 when I first started in community, we didn't have the cockroaches or the fentanyl issue at the time.
NDP leader Carla Beck says this has been an ongoing issue in the province.
I thought that the Coachman was closed, honestly, is my first response. All people in this province deserve dignity and deserve respect, I think is the baseline.
When asked for comment, the Ministry of Social Services issued a statement saying they use a formal process which began in 2024 when securing housing for individuals. Adding, rooms have been booked at the Coachman Inn and Suites through this process, and if a client has a health or safety concern regarding the room, they will look to secure alternate available accommodations as they work with the hotel to address those concerns. Now, CTV News did reach out to the Coachman Inn for an interview on this story, but was denied comment from the owners. Angela Stewart, CTV News, Regina.
The Saskatchewan Public Safety Agency says all 40 wildfires burning in the province are now contained. The Muskeg fire north of Beauval and La Plonge Indian Reserve was the last fire to have its not contained status changed to contained today. But the province isn't out of the woods just yet. 26 of the 40 fires are still being assessed, and extreme heat conditions up north could spark new wildfires. The 2025-26 Old Farmer's Almanac is predicting a winter that's not quite as bad as we're used to in Saskatchewan. It says Saskatchewan could see above normal temperatures and above normal rainfall with below normal snow. It suggests the coldest period will be late November and early December, as well as early February. Atlantic Canada is expected to see more snow along with northern Quebec. So is northern BC and parts of Yukon. The Old Farmer's Almanac has been circulating for over 200 years with an accuracy rate of about 80%. Last year, it was 92% accurate across the country. A new solar project near K+S Potash Bethune Mine is underway. The $82 million solar project will be fully Indigenous owned and operated through Sask Power's new Renewable Access Service program that allows large industrial customers to operate independently using the Crown's transmission lines. Once fully developed, the 32-megawatt facility will generate power to the mine over the course of 25 years. George Gordon Developments says the project would not be possible without all levels of government support.
Exactly what I want to prove to our own people and to our leadership and to government that given the opportunity, we can do things for ourselves. And this project is 100% owned by us, and it's going to be 100% built by us, and it's going to be 100% managed by us. And we're going to do a great job, and we're going to sell power to K+S Potash Mine for the next 25 years.
Sask Power says the project represents an opportunity for economic reconciliation. Some top dogs were strutting their stuff in Prince Albert today. Jasmine Peltier took in day one of the Prince Albert Kennel and Obedience Club all-breed dog show.
Some winners at the Prince Albert Kennel Club Dog Show have already been selected, with the blue ribbon for the working group going to Kenny the Great Dane, who traveled here from Leduc.
She's an American champion. She is almost a gold Canadian champion. So she's done a lot of stuff in her career. She just recently, 2 weeks ago, won the regional specialty in Alberta. So, yeah, she's a fun dog.
When asked about her impressive career, Kenny let the blue ribbon speak for itself.
They're working dogs, so they have to look like they should be able to do the job they were intended to do. And there was a lot of that, a lot of quality in that in the group today. The Great Dane just struck me as, it was a perfect outline, profile, moved well. Yeah, it was a lovely comportment. She was just lovely.
This year's Prince Albert Kennel and Obedience Club All-Breed Championship Dog Show at the exhibition grounds is the 54th annual show hosted by the club.
The public is welcome to come and attend, welcome to come and see the dogs and meet the exhibitors. Just always ask before you pet the dog at the show, because some of them have had hours of grooming to get ready for their 2 minutes in the ring.
Organizers say 150 participants registered. This Wednesday and Thursday, dogs of all shapes and sizes will continue to show off for the judges in hopes of nabbing a ribbon and possibly the title of Best in Show. Jasmine Peltier, CTV News, Prince Albert.
In Saskatoon, the summer has officially gone to the dogs. Pups of all sorts dove into the water at Mayfair Pool today as part of the City of Saskatoon's Dog Day of Summer. The free event allows canine companions to have a fun day in the pool now that the pool is closed to the public for the season. Pre-registration was required and no humans were allowed in the pool. The Saskatoon SPCA also hosted a fundraiser barbecue during the event. Riversdale Pool is the final Saskatoon outdoor pool open to the public with final day of operation scheduled for September 1st. Still to come, the Prime Minister's promises abroad. Also a disappointing delivery for Canada Post. You're watching CTV News live from downtown Saskatoon. Thanks for staying with us tonight. Mark Carney was busy on the international stage today, committing to extending Canada's NATO mission in Latvia for 3 years and pursuing new economic and military cooperation with Europe, something that includes a big-ticket item. CTV's Abigail Beeman reports.
Prime Minister Mark Carney tours a shipyard. The German-Norwegian consortium TKMS is pitching Canada to buy its submarines.
Our subs are quieter than Canadian Snowfall, but tougher than a player in the Stanley Cup final.
In Berlin, the government announced it's narrowed its search for up to 12 new submarines to 2 companies, this one and South Korea's Hanwha.
It's not about buying the big shiny object from the showroom floor. It's about how you are going to sustain that capability over what will probably end up being 30 to 40 years.
Canada's submarine fleet is so old it will be decommissioned by 2035. Senior government officials describe the situation as having some urgency.
We need to be able to have year-round fleets in all 3 coasts under quite demanding conditions. So that's how the field narrows quite quickly.
In addition to tricky technical requirements, the government wants a purchase as massive as this one to have an equal investment in Canada.
Really positive indication with this announcement today, which is atypical for the way Canada's generally approached big procurements, and based on a project budget that could get into like $100 billion range, this could end up being the single most expensive and largest defense acquisition that we've ever undertaken.
TKMS's CEO said they were open to building in Canada, which would be a first.
The customer's always right? So if they want or demand for special, let's say, reasons to build them in Canada, we would also be able for that.
Wednesday, the Prime Minister will meet Canadian troops here in Latvia. Tonight, he announced he will extend the NATO mission Canada leads here by another 3 years. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Riga.
For the second day, massive nationwide protests took place across Israel, with families of the hostages calling for the release of their loved ones and an end to the war in Gaza. It comes as international pressure continues to mount on both sides to reach a ceasefire deal as the humanitarian crisis in the enclave worsens. CTV's Heather Wright reports.
On a highway outside of Tel Aviv, protesters burned tires, blocked traffic, and demanded an end to the war in Gaza.
Accept the deal that's on the table to end the bloodshed that's going on.
These protests are the largest anti-war demonstrations to take place in Israel since the Hamas-led attacks of October 7th, which triggered the war in Gaza. They come as Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu faces mounting pressure, both at home and abroad, over the deteriorating situation in the enclave. On Monday, Israel struck one of the only functioning hospitals in southern Gaza, then hit the facility a second time as journalists and rescue workers rushed to the scene. At least 20 people were killed, including 5 journalists. Israel says the strike was targeting a Hamas camera and will investigate what happened.
And I've worked in that hospital.
Nicole Lessard spent May, June, and July working in Gaza as a nurse with Médecins Sans Frontières. She says the suffering is constant. There's not enough food or medicine, and since Israel handed over aid distribution to the U.S.-backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, getting aid can be deadly.
When the sites made an announcement they were going to open for food distribution, we would shortly receive mass casualties to the hospital. They keep the doors closed and then open them. People rush in. The food is dropped in the center, and it's basically like a fight to the death.
As Israel pushes ahead with its military offensive in Gaza City, there are not only fears in Gaza, but in Israel as well, with approximately 20 living hostages still being held in the enclave.
The Prime Minister has really gone rogue now. He's going against his chief of staff. He's going against the hostage families. He's going entirely against the international community.
Today, the United Nations demanded that Israel's investigation into the killing of journalists at Nasser Hospital comes with accountability, noting that over 270 journalists have been killed in Gaza since the war began. Heather Wright, CTV News.
This is unacceptable.
More bad news delivered today for Canada Post. The National Mail Service reported its largest loss before tax in a single quarter. Parcel revenue and volumes fell 37% in the second quarter, a drop Canada Post says is directly linked to customers turning to other carriers out of concern that another strike could delay their deliveries. CTV's Rachel Aiello now on the costs of the continuing labor dispute.
Canada Post lost $407 million between April and June. Its profits deteriorating, due in part to a dramatic decline in parcel customers. Revealing the record loss, Canada Post said it continues to confront significant operational and structural challenges, and the ongoing labor uncertainty has contributed significantly. Last year's strike and the threat of more disruption this spring prompted this hobby shop owner, who for nearly 40 years loved and relied on Canada Post, to pivot.
That was why I had to make the move and say we can't rely 100% on one source.
He now lets his customers across the country choose their courier.
I've got to run a business and I can't shut down for a month or month and a half at a time.
The uncertainty is shared by Canada Post workers, the union says, as contract negotiations with the Crown Corporation remain stalled.
It affects us every day, and when you're going to get a mortgage or you're going to buy a car, those are things that you worry about. Do you have a job in the future?
The minister responsible calling Canada Post's financial situation deeply troubling, saying both sides have a responsibility to ensure a future that continues to serve Canadians, and that the government is committed to a sustainable, modern, and resilient postal service. With the government's expenditure review well underway, the minister also said he'll be keeping a close eye on Canada Post, which is on track to record an even larger annual loss in 2025 than last year's $840 million. Rachel Aiello, CTV News, Ottawa.
A husband is calling for justice, accusing an Ontario hospital of gross negligence after his wife died from sepsis after giving birth to their third child. A bacterial infection after delivery developed into a life-threatening medical emergency. CTV's Adrian Gobriel spoke to the man who maintains his wife should have survived.
On June 19th, 40-year-old Ravinder Sidhu arrived here at Mississauga, Ontario's Credit Valley Hospital for the successful delivery of a healthy baby boy. Though just 4 days later, the mother of 3 was sadly dead. The initial cause of death, a Group A strep infection. Roughly 6 hours after the delivery of her newborn baby, Sidhu said she felt like she had hypothermia. Freezing cold, she was at times struggling to speak. Her temperature spiked, as did her white blood cell count and heart rate, and she was withering in pain. For 2 days, her condition deteriorated. Pleading for painkillers, her family said she was only given Advil and Tylenol. It wasn't until an infection appeared visible on her leg that she was taken to the ICU and administered an antibiotic. By then, her husband says it was too late.
By that point, she was already being eaten alive by the bacteria, and she was already suffering the worst pain. We begged for help, which never arrived. Now I learned that sepsis is a race against time, but doctors never started the clock. Had they listened to us, my wife would be still alive and she would be with her family. I really hope that no other family has to go through this.
Sidhu's family have filed a complaint with Ontario's Patients Ombudsman and with the hospital. In 2023, there were 4,600 cases of invasive Group A strep uncovered in Canada, a 40% increase from 2019.
When you see, those red flags, you have to intervene, right? And a lot of professionals are actually trained in the critical care and the ICU units, to deal with this, with these types of symptoms.
We asked the hospital if they're launching an official review into the specific standard of care given to Ravinder Sidhu. In an email, Credit Valley would only say that a review is part of their standard practice led by clinical experts. Adrian Gobriel, CTV News, Mississauga, Ontario.
Saskatoon, I'm Keegan Isaac, and this is the Itsy Bitsy Big Band. Join us on August 30th at the Broadway Theatre for a throwback performance to the golden age of entertainment. I'll be joined by guest artists Paulina Salisbury and Sanjana Brijlal. Tickets are available at broadwaytheatre.ca. We can't wait to see you there. So, what's the weather going to be like, Jeff?
Well, it's hard to top that musical intro, but things are going to be hot. Not a surprise, but let's take a look at the specifics there, Keegan. We anticipate a daytime high of 32 degrees on Saturday. Of course, your show is at 7:30, so things will have cooled off a little bit. And, of course, it's much nicer once you get indoors at the Broadway Theatre. Mainly cloudy day, we should mention as well, but broadwaytheatre.ca is where you can go to get tickets to catch Keegan Isaac and the Itsy Bitsy Big Band. So that's coming up on Saturday. Let's take a look at our temperatures right now. Right now in Saskatoon, it is 29 degrees, not much in the way of wind, and a similar situation in the Prince Albert area, with the exception of, 1 degree cooler. But it's 29 and sunny right now in the Battlefords with calm winds, and so, yes, it is a hot situation in all 3 locations. Saskatoon's Almanac, our daytime high, 29 degrees. Our current temperature, 23, is typical for this time of year. 34, though, that is the record warm temperature. That still stands from 1996, the record cold temperature from 50 years ago today. It still stands at 1 degree. The sun came up at 6:08. It's going to go down at 8:08.
Coming up, the engagement that's breaking the internet, the fairy tale romance that is taking the next step.
All right, welcome back. Let's take a look and see what we've got going on with these some cumulus clouds out there. Sure, you know, they could, you know, potentially grow into something, but right now it doesn't look like much is coming our way in that respect. Take a look at our satellite and radar shot here. And as you can see, we do have this sort of this long line of some, you know, some pop-up thunderstorm. I shouldn't say thunderstorms, some showers, but nothing really sort of aiming towards Saskatoon right now. What we see here, and here, that's ground clutter. The heat is just fooling the radar, so we'll just say dismiss that. We can't dismiss these temperatures, though. 29 in Saskatoon and the Battleford's 28 in Prince Albert. It is hot, and it's been a hot day across the province. Meadow Lake, 34 big degrees. Oh, yeah. Up at Kimball and Janot, up in Meadow Lake Provincial Park. I'm sure it is just wonderful up there. Coronach, 6 degrees is the cold spot in the province. So currently it is 29 degrees in Lloydminster and Swift Current, 28 in York, and 31 in Moose Jaw, 30 in Regina, and 27 in Estevan. In central parts of our province, temperatures range from 19 in Nipawin up to 30 big degrees in Kindersley. Actually, 32 right now in Meadow Lake, 25 in Wynyard, 24 in Hudson Bay, 26 in Stony Rapids and Key Lake, 28 in Buffalo Narrows and La Ronge, 27 in Sandy Bay, Island Falls. Down south, a few places are still at the 30-degree mark or warmer, but we've got ourselves a lot of places, though, that are hanging around that 28 or 29-degree mark. It does cool off to 26 in Broadview, which isn't that cold at all. And now let's take a look and see what we've got going on with our futurecast. Well, the computer modeling indicating that, yes, the isobar lines are going to stay far apart, so that means not much in the way of wind. And as we make our way into the next 24 hours, as you can see, we don't see much, if anything, in terms of active weather. What we do have are heat warnings that exist in and around the, you know, Waskesiu up towards La Ronge and then into areas north of the Meadow Lake area, north of Meadow Lake Provincial Park up towards Clough Lake and area. So, yes, some hot temperatures in store for that part of our province and parts of eastern Alberta as well. Mainly cloudy or cloudy skies in northern Saskatchewan tomorrow. Temperatures for the most part around 28 degrees, a little warmer in west central Saskatchewan with a lot more sunshine. Temperatures basically around that 31-degree mark. That is true of southwestern Saskatchewan as well. And as we take a look at southeastern Saskatchewan, again, lots of sunshine and temperatures 32 degrees in Regina and Moose Jaw, 31 in Estevan, 29 in Yorkton, and into east central Saskatchewan, 28 degrees, the expected temperatures, high temperatures from Melfort and Hudson Bay, 29 in Humboldt and 31 in Watrous. And now the details for the Battleford. Slight chance of showers with a risk of a thunderstorm tonight, 9 degrees, not much in the way of wind, and that extends into tomorrow, 31 degrees tomorrow for a high, mainly sunny skies, and then 32 big degrees on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. A bit more sunshine on Thursday and Friday. Sunday, mainly sunny and 31 degrees. Monday, holiday Monday, 24 degrees, and then back to work Tuesday, 21, which is still pretty manageable. Slight chance of showers for Prince Albert tonight, 10 degrees, 30 degrees tomorrow with sunny skies, and then 31 on Thursday, 32 on Friday and Saturday, 31 on Sunday, cooling off a bit on holiday Monday, 23, and then Tuesday, 19 degrees with mainly cloudy skies. In Saskatoon, a slight chance of showers, risk of a thunderstorm, no appreciable wind, 10 degrees, 31 degrees on Wednesday. And then as we take a look at Thursday, 32 degrees, staying at 32 on Friday and Saturday, Sunday, 31, holiday Monday, still hot at 28 degrees, and back to work Tuesday, a somewhat refreshing 20 degrees. The trailer for the Beatles Anthology Music Collection is now here. The collection comes with the Anthology Project's 25th anniversary book and series, all due out this fall. The remastered volumes will feature 13 previously unreleased recordings. It's available to pre-order right now. Some new inductees for the Canadian Songwriters Hall of Fame have been announced. Triumph is among the new class that also includes Andy Kim, Jane Sibrey, Ian Thomas, and Gino Vanelli. 9 artists will be part of this year's Legends induction series. It recognizes songwriters who have helped define Canadian culture and shape the global soundscape. Some inductees will be honored at the Meridian Arts Centre in Toronto, October 17th. Others will be recognized at another event in Montreal in November. Rock star Sting is reportedly being sued by his former bandmates over lost royalties. Andy Summers and Stuart Copeland, the other two members of The Police, allege they did not receive royalties or co-writing credits for the band's hit song, Every Breath You Take. According to the Daily Mail, Sting earns £550,000 in royalties for the tune every year. That's roughly over $1 million Canadian. Every Breath You Take is the 5th best-selling song of the 1980s.
All right, Jeff, time for Pick of the Day. What do you have?
Well, we've got a big triple hit here, and let's start off with this one. This one comes to us from Shelley. She says a foggy start to the day near the park. She doesn't say what park this is, but boy, this is from last week, I believe last Saturday, and that is one foggy situation. Watch out for werewolves, as I always caution people. So thank you, Shelley. Our next one comes to us from Lisa, and she is from Martinsville area, and she says she discovered a brand new species of bugs. They don't do a lot, but they sort of mind their own business. A lovely shot there with some hand-painted rocks there. I mean bugs. And finally, this is perfect. This comes to us from Gary. And today, interesting enough, we had our stories about the dog show and about the dogs at the park. Today is International Dog Day, and Gary just simply calls this Dog Days of Summer. All right, and that looks like a great shot there. Whole lot of love going on there. And if you'd like to share an image with us, you can do so by sending it to cfqcnews@ctv.ca. And please put Pick of the Day in the subject line.
Still to come on CTV News, the love story she said yes to. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce light up the internet yet again. Now to the news that is taking the entertainment world by storm. One of the planet's biggest music stars is engaged. Taylor Swift announcing online she and football star boyfriend Travis Kelce are getting married. CTV's Andrea Case with the latest on their love story.
Travis Kelce proposed and Taylor Swift said yes. And fans in Toronto couldn't be happier.
Yes! Oh, they're engaged. They're engaged. Wait, actually? Oh my gosh.
Have a good life with her husband.
Some good advice. What advice would you give him with her?
Be nice.
One of the world's most famous couples announced their engagement on Instagram with the caption, "Your English teacher and your gym teacher are getting married." The ring, an old mine brilliant cut diamond from Kindred Lubeck. As for the dress she wore, by Ralph Lauren, already sold out. It was a 3-time Super Bowl winner, Travis Kelce, who pursued Swift more than 2 years ago.
So I was a little butthurt. I didn't get to hand her one of the bracelets I made for her, one with my number on it.
Eventually they met, Swift admitting she didn't know much about football.
I didn't know what a first down was.
I am forever thankful for you diving into the football world.
And she certainly did, creating a stir just entering the football stadium and NFL cameras constantly covering her every move in the Kelce family private box.
The latest status is I got to see her last week. That's the latest status right there.
And the second one, are you in love?
I'm going to keep my personal relationship personal.
She attended his games and he followed her on the Eras Tour, attending 14 concerts, even making an appearance in one of her London shows.
What I saw on that tour last year was pretty remarkable. It was something I could admire watching and take a lot of notes from.
Even President Donald Trump, when asked, had something to say on the news of the engagement.
Well, I wish him a lot of luck. I think he's a great player. I think he's a great guy, and I think that she's a terrific person, so I wish them a lot of luck.
He hasn't always been so gracious about the pop star, posting, "I hate Taylor Swift," after she endorsed Kamala Harris for president. Andrea Case, CTV News.
When we come back, a Saskatoon woman keeps her culture alive and later making fast food even faster. The idea up in the air.
Well, Welcome back. We've got ourselves some hot temperatures tomorrow, lots of sunshine, and again, not much in the way of wind, so there won't be a cool breeze to create a bit of relief there. So let's just take a look at the numbers. 31 degrees in Meadow Lake, 32 in Lloydminster and Kindersley, 31 as well in Outlook, 28 in Melfort. As we take a look at Hudson Bay, 28 tomorrow for a high, 29 in Wynyard under sunny skies. Down south, well, temperatures staying hot. We've got 32 degrees expected in Leader, 28 in East End and Cypress Hills regions. Rockland, 29, 31 in Coronach, 29 in Carlisle and Broadview, Pilot Butte, 31 degrees. And what about Kenosee Lake? Well, Kenosee Lake, hot conditions, Great Lake conditions, quite frankly. 30 degrees, winds out of the northeast at 15, so maybe a hint of a breeze there, but things are looking very nice. And of course, Kenosee Lake is one of the places where internet plans of up to 1 gig are available from SaskTel.
Greetings, everyone. As the Michif language faces a significant drop in fluent speakers, a number of programs are trying to revitalize the unique language, including the work of a Saskatoon woman. Carla Shinkaruk finds out more about her efforts to keep the Métis language from going silent.
Pour le ceinture flashy, all about the sash.
Lila Phillips is speaking Michif. She works to preserve the language that is unlike any other in the world. It blends French nouns and Cree verbs, but today, only about 30 people, mostly elders, speak it fluently. So with an aging population of experts, it's a race against time to revive it.
And language shapes and tells us who we are, and that's why it's so important for me to keep fighting for Michif.
And that fight happens through programs offered by various Métis groups in Saskatoon, like the Central Urban Métis Federation and Métis Nation, as well as here at the Public School Division, teaching kids Michif.
With the cultural program at Westmount, the cultural teacher will visit classrooms. The teachers there also do an amazing job of incorporating language throughout their day. My name's Lila too, Tanche, and I'm Michif too.
That is one of Philip's fond memories of teaching Michif, seeing the connection in a young student's eyes.
So they were really excited, and they saw somebody else who reflected who they were, and they were just excited to share and say that they were Michif.
She's trying to make up for generations of Michif speakers who hid the language, a survival mechanism.
The old ones, the old people, did what they thought at the time to try to protect us from colonization and racism.
Her grandfather spoke Michif, but died when she was only 2 years old.
My mushroom would be happy now that we're trying so hard to fight for Michif language, to wake it up, to speak it, to hang on to it, and to fight for it. Tanche.
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 What does that mean?
That means hello. My hope is that I'll hear it in all spaces, wherever I travel, that there will be people speaking and sharing Michif.
For Indigenous Circle, I'm Carla Shinkaruk in Saskatoon.
If you have a story you would like to see in this segment, here's how to reach us. You can contact me by email, and you can also watch past episodes and segments of Indigenous Circle on our CTV Regina and CTV Saskatoon websites.
Indigenous Circle, brought to you in part by Saskatchewan Indigenous Enterprise Foundation, growing the First Nation entrepreneurial spirit.
Coming up, the food chain enlisting the help of drone delivery. Then a call of the wilds.
Select Hair Services brought to you by Sage, the beauty bar.
Stay with us. We've got another full night of great shows for you right here tonight on CTV. Well, fast food chain Chipotle is taking burritos to new heights. It's rolling out a new drone delivery program, teaming up with drone delivery company Zipline to fly digital orders to customers through a new program dubbed Chipotle. A fleet of zero-emissions aircraft will be used to deliver orders up to 5.5 pounds, so about 5 burritos plus chips and guac. The program is currently being tested in Dallas ahead of a broader launch. So
we shall see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Neat idea.
Well, let's hope food stays hot.
This is true. Maybe you'll like this story better.
Oh, okay.
This could be considered an unusual call of the wild. Hong Kong's Birdwatching Society held its first ever bird calling contest. Competitors came out to give their best versions of calls from birds, including the cole, the brownfish owl, and the yellow-crested cockatoo. The contest is aimed at boosting conservation awareness. It also spreads the message that even in a concrete jungle like Hong Kong, there are still great bird watching opportunities. And it looks like people are taking it quite seriously.
Exactly. Look, I know I've seen, on Johnny Carson, they used to have the bird watching finalists come on, and they were always very impressive.
Yeah.
So that looks pretty cool. Let's take a quick look at our numbers for tomorrow, and here you go, kids. 19 degrees in the morning, 25 by noon, and 30, mid-afternoon, 32, and then about 30 by 5 o'clock, so it's going to be a hot one.
And not so windy.
And not so windy.
Thanks for watching. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.